So our black sesame sponge cakes have been baked, completely cooled. Now we're going to trim these a little. So the first thing that I want to do is just trim the tops off so they're nice and level. There is many inserts in this entremet, so it's important that we have it at the correct thickness. So we're looking at about 1 centimetre thick. So basically it should just be to cut this top part off. And you want to go ahead and use either a cake knife like I am using, or you can also use a bread knife. Once we finish leveling the top, you want to take your 16 centimetre ring mould and use this to cut out your cake. So I've just melted some chocolate to 45 degrees Celsius, and I'm just adding a nice thin layer to one side of my cake to Chèvre Blanc, and this is going to prevent the cake from sticking to the cake board. Now just transfer your prepared cakes back to the freezer to firm up. To make your milk chocolate or dark chocolate mousse, we first need to, of course, mise en place all of our ingredients, and we're going to start with making our crème anglaise. So a crème anglaise traditionally would have eggs in it. Obviously today we're not using eggs, we have a vegan alternative. So we are using a combination of panis egg or instant vanilla pudding, along with iota carrageenan and agar powder. So this is going to replace our eggs and also the setting agent. So I like to mix all of my powders together. And we're going to sprinkle this into our measurement of water. And just set that aside for everything to hydrate. In my saucepan over here, we're going to heat up our plant milk until it gets to the smoking point or just before it starts boiling. Once it gets to the smoking point, we're going to take this off the heat and add a small amount of our warm milk to our vegan egg and setting agents and just whisk that together. Add a little more. And then return back to your saucepan. Over medium heat, you want to bring your mixture to a simmer. Once our crème anglaise starts simmering, you want to reduce the heat and allow to simmer for 1 full minute. Once your crème anglaise has been simmering for a minute, you can take it off the heat, add your cacao butter, milk chocolate, or if you're using the dark chocolate, and mix everything together. Once your crème anglaise and chocolate is almost melted, transfer back to your heat-proof jug. Don't worry if the texture looks a bit funny. We're going to blend this with our immersion blender until smooth. To create your vegan meringue, we're going to combine our potato protein 300 along with our xanthan gum and a spoonful of our sugar. That's just going to help us disperse the powders, and just mix that together. Now add to your water, along with a pinch of bicarb soda. Now the bicarb soda is going to help activate our potato protein, increasing our pH of our water and enabling the functions to work. Using a low speed, just start mixing everything together until it becomes foamy. Once your potato protein mixture starts becoming foamy and it's starting to dissolve, we're going to add 1/3 of our remaining sugar and beat on medium to high speed until we get soft peaks. Once at the soft peak stage, we're going to gradually add our remaining sugar and beat in between each addition. Now beat your vegan whipping cream until firm peaks. Now we're going to prepare the molds for our entremet today. So I have 18cm ring molds, and you want to cover the base with cling wrap. So we're just going to cover that over and make sure you have a nice tight coverage, and so it's nice and even. Just pull down as you turn until it's nice and taut. And then flip over onto your tray and continue with the next one. Now we have our molds ready, we would need to work quite quickly putting everything together. I've just checked my creme anglaise and it's at 50 degrees Celsius, which is the temperature that we're looking for. Now we're going to re-blend our creme anglaise until it's nice and smooth. So just pass through your sieve or strainer. Now add 1/4 of your vegan whipped cream. And using a whisk, we're going to incorporate this vigorously. Now we're going to add all our meringue in one go and fold everything through. Now add your remaining whipped cream and fold everything together. Now fill your molds 2/3 of the way up with your mousse. Add your first insert, which is your coconut mousse. Pop the flat side down and we're going to push it all the way to the bottom. Spread the mousse over your coconut insert. Now add your passion fruit creme insert with the crunchy glaze, and we're going to invert this and press down. Again, cover with a little bit of your mousse. And now we'll transfer our base. So with the chocolate side facing up, and press down until the mousse aligns up. Tidy things up with your offset spatula. Just make sure that everything's evened out. This is going to be the base of your cake, so don't worry if it looks a little bit messy. We just want to make sure that it's nice and even. Now this is going to be transferred to the refrigerator for 4 to 6 hours and then into the freezer until completely firm. Well, now we're going to use our shiny cocoa glaze. So again, just make sure that it's at your working temperature, and I like to use it between 35 and 40 degrees Celsius. And I've just checked with my thermometer and it's right there. So we're going to re-blend this just to ensure that everything is nice and smooth. Just take that cling wrap off. And ensure that you're not incorporating more air bubbles, so only start blending until you're underneath the surface. Give it a little tap underneath. If you see any air bubbles on the surface, you can use a heat gun just to carefully remove those. So I've just taken my cake directly out of the freezer, so we're going to glaze it now. Just give your glaze a stir just to make sure everything is incorporated. Get your cake board ready to go. Now we're going to start in the center and do little swirls until it covers our cake. So working nice and quickly and swiftly. Nice little circles. And using your offset spatula, we're going to do one swipe. Scrape off the excess. And just wait a minute or two until it starts setting a little bit. Now we're going to transfer over to our cake board. So make sure that you've got a nice grip on your cake. And we're using our offset spatula and a knife. Can start glazing your other cake. Just put the glaze that has come off this one back into your jug. Heat it up to your working temperature before you glaze your next cake. So we have our glaze now back at our working temperature. So I'm just going to give that a little bit of a stir, and then we're going to glaze this other cake. So making sure that your tools are always nice and clean before you glaze your cake, and nice and swiftly we're going to make some little circles in the center until our cake is fully covered. And then one quick and swift swipe. And just wait a couple of minutes until it starts setting. So it's been about a minute or so. I'm going to transfer it onto my cake board now. So just make sure you get a good grip with your offset spatula. And I'm just going to twist that around a bit just to catch any excess. And use your knife as well. Make sure you've got a good grip before we transfer.